Welcome to the Crafty Mini, and this is the second part of the Heroquest expansions unboxing and sort of brief overview. Now in this one we've got the Mage in the Mirror first up. Now this one, from what I've read, is quite unique. So it's got a little two-player slash solo play using the app as part of it, and it's you just have the elf who's running through the dungeon, getting equipment and geared up, ready to join the party later on for the actual quest for the Mage in the Mirror. Now with that, I'm not sure exactly how it works yet, but you seem to be getting unique equipment and other things, but we'll look into that later. So in this one, again, some beautiful card tiles. One thing I'll note with this, like with one of the previous expansions, the cardstock's a bit thin compared to others, which is slightly annoying, because the quality in like the base game is lovely. They're really thick and chunky tiles. You don't feel like they're going to bend or warp or anything like that. But some interesting things on there, some new pit traps and new furniture and rooms, which are always welcome when it comes to sets, because you can start snazzing things up and making things the way you want. The quest book itself is pretty straightforward. As mentioned, the start of the book is actually for the elf on their own. They gear up and then they join the rest of the party in this dungeon, and then start working their way through the actual quest book itself. So miniature wise, we've got the new sculpt to the elf. Quite like the fact they've got a shield in this and not just a single sword with some magic. Now I'm not sure how that plays out at this point with cards, but we'll get into that later. So there's a sort of like high priestess, or maybe that is the Mage in the Mirror herself, and then a lot of elf underlings. Now sculpt wise, we've seen these before. I believe this came out before the Ogre Horde, so the Ogre Horde they've reused them in that expansion. But again, they're very simple, really nice, and look like they'll be easy to paint. Some of the old sort of blocks that'll hold up cardboard pieces, and some new furniture, which is always welcome. So onto the cards. And like with all the expansions, you get a variety of different things. So you get some equipments first. Now these are predominantly just potions. Some newer, slightly newer and different abilities regarding the potions, but nothing major there. It looks like it would be nice to bulk up a base set to get more equipment. Now the elf special abilities are very specific, so, and they seem to be themed around this. So you've got things like mirror image, you can look into the past, you can put an enemy to sleep, hypnotise them and things. I don't know how these are going to feel compared to the original elemental magics. Now when I come to actually playing the game, we'll do a more in-depth review at the time, but if these replace the elf spells for the base set, and then the wizard got all 4 elementals, I would personally wouldn't mind that. I think that'd be an interesting spin, because I've always felt like, I know the elf gets a set of magic, but it was never themed, whereas this does seem like that. Same with the artifacts, very elf themed. So you got these special braces that can give you powers, and there's a specific elven sword, and some of them do say elf only, so other characters can't use them. There's a couple of others that obviously can be used. Dread spells, again, nice to see Morcog and the Evil Plague getting a bit of fun and some extra stuff that they can do. A couple of them we've seen before, but it's interesting. The Werewolf's Curse in particular, that seems very specific to this box set, which is always cool. And then when it comes to the artifacts, as just mentioned, so the Bone Wand and the Ancient Staff, it seems anyone can use those, but the Elven Sword, it's got a specific name, and the Bracers, it does actually say on the card the elf. Oh, and the boots as well, sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. It's cool to see a ranged weapon for the party, so they can fire out like some of the monsters we've seen in previous expansions. But again, it seems like the elf's got a little bit of an upgrade. The wizard with his spells is pretty good once you know how to play him. And again, going back to that, the barbarian and the dwarf. Now in the previous expansions, obviously we had the berserker, which I suppose could be a replacement for the barbarian. But the dwarf hasn't really been given anything either. So it'll be just interesting what people think. I know others have mentioned that they feel the barbarian and dwarf from the original set is getting left behind a little bit, but we'll see as we play through. So all the extra miniatures, some chests, which is always nice, a different looking throne, some doors which do have some slightly different sculpts on. However, the sarcophagus, again with its openable lid, which is always fun. The sarcophagus and the alchemist table do look like the ones from the base set. I mean, it's good to have more in so you can do some more things. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame there wasn't a bit more variety in furniture in there. Now, when it comes to the actual miniatures, decent enough sculpts, it has to be said. The werewolves or direwolves, they look absolutely fine. The ogres, weirdly, now I think this set came out before the Ogre Kingdoms. These ogres look very strange and very squat because they've been confined to a single space. Whereas the ogres on the proper ogre expansion, you know, have got 2x2 square bases or 2x1, so they're bigger and chunkier. So these do look like either slightly beefed up orcs or really tiny baby ogres. It's not a problem. I mean, they still look good. They're still going to be fun to paint, and it's also at this point, when this came out, it's nice to have some more unique sculpts. I mean, overall the sets, yeah, it looks pretty good. It's nice to have a 2-player variant that you could do at a push, so you can just play the evil player and the elf, and just say you've got a player who can do a little bit of something. If anyone's got this, have you used the elf equipment and spells to replace the elf stuff in the base game? If you have, or any info about it without major spoilers for the rest of the people watching, let me know. But yeah, it's an interesting idea. Whether it works or not, that's the thing. Because it does seem that the first two, the Jungles of Delthrak, it seems like they tested this idea of a branching storyline. Which, and again, with all this, I will say the caveat, I've not played. The Ogre Kingdom looks like the old Ogre Kingdom, just with cooler miniatures, which is fine. That was a good quest pack. Same with Kellar's Keep and the Witch Lord. But yeah, with this one, it's, I don't know, it's that intro bit. It's like, well, if you don't want to play that, does your elf then become underpowered? Do they need those artifacts and equipment in the main sort of quest parts of the game? It's going to be interesting to see. And as I say, when we come to get playing these, I will hold off judgment. But overall, yeah, it's not bad. It's, again, some lovely choices. You've got some extra tokens, furniture and miniatures and things. Some of them are duplicates. But again, it all adds to that huge box set you're going to end up having at the end, so you can make your own quest. And that was the majority of the fun with Heroquest for us when we played it. So we did that cool branching campaign, and then we made our own stuff. And this is back when I was at the time, I think about 8 or 9, and this eventually got me into Dungeons and Dragons. So we'd start off by doing like modded versions of Heroquest with a bit more roleplay elements, and then that progressed after that. Also, with all the pieces in all of these games, all the cardboard, you could make some really nice tricked out dungeons for D&D or other fantasy roleplay settings as well. Right, and on to the next expansion. So this is the Frozen Horror. Now this is pretty cool. This was the first expansion I remember me seeing after the Mythic tier had come out. So this is before they'd done anything other, like, you know, Jungles of Delthrak, the previous one we've looked at, and so on. And again, this is nice, very themed again, which I do appreciate. The cardstock's a little bit better in this, so maybe they've cheapened it slightly as they've gone on with expansions. You know, if you understand it's a business, you want to make profits and stuff, but have good cardstock. It's a simple thing that makes board gamers happy. But again, we've got a bunch of tiles, sort of ice themed. You've got crags and crevices and deep pits and things, and it looks pretty good. There's a massive miniature in here as well, which we'll get to. But in terms of the book itself, same sort of thing you're used to. You know, things you'd be expecting. It looks good. It's got everything in that you need. Also, mercenaries in this, so there's clearly hirelings, and you do get these nice themed dice, which, you know, they do look good. They've got this sort of transparent sort of texture to them, and some blue movement dice. So again, it's all nice and themed. I can see why they stopped it, because the base dice do exactly what you want. And then this is the hero. And again, I'll say the sculpts, nice and simple. Look like they're going to be fun to paint. Not too much busy stuff on there. And then some of them, you know, a bit of hot water, bend them back into shape and let them cool, because they have warped slightly. I don't know if I'm going to keep all the inserts, or if, and maybe just have a big box with all the miniatures in. I'm not sure yet. It's nice because it keeps all the miniatures separate, but you're forever snapping them in and out, and with the paint jobs you're going to end up chipping them. But still, it looks pretty good so far. So you've got a variety of these humans with a halberd, crossbows, swords and shields, and what looks like a long sword. And onto the cards. So again, huge deck of cards, lots for you to do and play with. So we've got the enemies first of all. So crossbowman, halberdier, swordsman, scout, that's a nice variation. Polar warbear. I mean, that looks amazing straight away. A yeti, ice gremlin, and the actual frozen horror itself. These look pretty cool. Going to be a lot of fun to paint. I like the ice theme running through. It's a shame they didn't do more of this with other expansions. But yeah, it looks good. So this has a barbarian. Now, does this replace the old barbarian? I think I might let it, to be honest. But then it comes back to that previous issue. The dwarf, I don't know if the dwarf's been given anything yet. Maybe there's a future expansion, an idea that they might be doing. But if this replaces the base set barbarian, at least then she's got her own unique powers and things she can do. So some equipment cards, potions and things as we expect. Some new treasure cards. And again, I don't know whether I want to bump these up, because one thing that is missing is some wandering monsters. Because if you keep adding all these expansions to boost up your deck, which seems like it would work, there's not enough wandering monsters. So the players might be getting, you know, too overpowered too quick. Again, artifacts very specific to the box set. Some of them can't be used by other characters. Some of them are barbarian only. And if that's the case, maybe they'll be doing something with the wizard and the dwarf then from the base game. But a couple of spell scrolls and other things. This doesn't seem to have the same as the previous, the Mage in the Mirror, where you'll have a set, a couple of quests just for the barbarian and then the party join. This seems like it's just it's all in, but it's an updated barbarian class. So yeah, be interested. If anyone's played it, let me know how it went. Dread spells, all ice themed and cold themed, which is good, and it, again, gives Morcar a little bit of something to have some fun with. Overall, not bad so far. Now this was a nice, and I must say a pleasant surprise. Another pad of character sheets. Great, because I will be using them, and it'd be nice to have some extras. This one's got a nice blue sort of tint over it to keep it again with that ice theme. But yeah, very pleasantly surprised and appreciate that. More of that, please, Hasbro. So this is the werebear, sort of frozen. It's a good miniature. It looks cool. So you got this armoured bear with a huge sort of truncheon. Now the goblins, they look like a slight variation on the Goblin Warlock that we saw. But with these, they've got those sort of cutesy hats, and I'm thinking of doing almost Santa themed, just to make it a bit of fun. Maybe have this as like a Christmas game when we get round to playing it with others. When we get to Christmas, we'll play this. The Yetis, they do look a bit meh, to be honest. They look like chunky Whompers. If you don't know what a Whomper is, go and watch some Star Wars. The Frozen Horror, he looks good though. Nice big chunky miniature. It's going to be a bit of fun to paint. Good quality plastic again. Couple of mould lines, things I'll clean up, but nothing major. And you don't have to if you don't want to. You can just paint them. And again, a nice set of doors. But these look like they're the same as the previous. They've just got bits of icicles and snow on. So at least they've given us a unique sculpt for that. No new furniture or anything, but that's okay. We can still do stuff with it. But overall, I'm quite happy with this set. This is one of the few where there's enough variation in there that you can have some fun with. Like for the barbarians, even if they're enemies in this, we could have them as sort of like allies from the north, and you can hire them and things like that. Again, ton of replayability and things that we can do. But yeah, that was the Frozen Horror. Interested to see how this is going to play as well. Hopefully it beefs up the Barbarian. So is there something I've missed? Is there an expansion that beefs up the Dwarf a little bit? If there is, someone out there let me know, because I've been looking around. I can't see anything. The closest we had were the Dwarf Scouts, but they weren't really the original base Dwarf. But I digress. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed that. Now there's a sneaky video coming out on the 30th for all of you to watch. Enjoy. It's a little bit of a teaser trailer, and then we'll see you next week for the start of the new season. Thank you all very much for watching, and see you then. Cheers.